The knock came so softly it almost sounded like the wind brushing the door. At midnight, no one knocks gently unless they're afraid of being heard. When Daniel Hart opened it, he didn't expect to find a little girl standing barefoot on the cold hallway tiles, clutching a cracked pink doll to her chest, her eyes wide with a fear far too old for her small face. She looked up at him, swallowed hard, and whispered, "Our door is broken, Mommy's crying." Daniel froze. He was used to late-night calls from board members, emergency emails from overseas, crises measured in stock prices and lawsuits. But this was something no spreadsheet could prepare him for. The girl's voice trembled as if even speaking might make something terrible happen. Behind her, the hallway lights flickered, and somewhere down the corridor, a woman sobbed quietly, the sound muffled but desperate, like someone trying not to fall apart out loud. Daniel knelt so he wouldn't tower over her. Up close, he noticed the faint smudge of dirt on her cheek, the red marks on her wrists where she'd clearly been pulling at a sleeve that wasn't there. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Lily," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder as if the darkness might chase her back. "Mommy told me not to open the door for anyone. But, she said if something bad happened, I should go to the nice neighbor. You smile at me in the mornings." Something tightened in his chest. He did smile at her, he realized. Every morning, rushing out in tailored suits, he'd nod at the young woman struggling with groceries or holding Lily's hand while fumbling for keys. He never knew her name. Never asked. Always assumed there'd be time later. "What happened to your door?" he asked. Lily's lower lip trembled. "A man was shouting. He kicked it. Mommy pushed me into the bedroom and told me to hide. The lock broke." Her eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "He went away, but Mommy's scared he'll come back." Daniel stood up slowly, his jaw clenched. He grabbed his phone, keys, and jacket without thinking. "You did the right thing, Lily. You're very brave. Let's go check on your mommy together." As they walked down the hallway, Lily's small hand slipped into his, holding on as if he were the only solid thing left in the world. Daniel felt the weight of it, the trust, the fear, the responsibility, and something inside him shifted. Their apartment door hung crooked on its hinges, the lock splintered, wood cracked like a bone that had been snapped and left to heal wrong. Inside, a woman sat on the floor with her back against the couch, knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped around herself. Her face was blotchy from crying, eyes red and unfocused, like someone who'd run out of tears but not pain. When she saw Lily, she scrambled up. "Lily, I told you to stay," her words caught when she noticed Daniel. Embarrassment, relief, fear, and gratitude collided across her face. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't know what else to do." She shouldn't have. She did exactly what she should have, Daniel said firmly. "I'm Daniel. I live next door. Are you hurt?" She shook her head, though her hands were shaking. "No. Just scared." She took Lily into her arms, burying her face in her daughter's hair as if checking she was real. "I'm Emma." Daniel surveyed the damage with a practiced eye. "This door won't hold," he said. "Not like this. I'm calling someone right now." "It's so late," Emma protested weakly. "I don't want to be a bother." Daniel looked at her, really looked, at the exhaustion etched into her posture, the way she flinched at every sound. "You're not a bother," he said. "You're a neighbor. And you're not staying like this." Within minutes, he was on the phone, his tone calm but commanding. He'd learned long ago that the right words could move mountains, even at midnight. An emergency contractor agreed to come immediately. Daniel hung up and turned back to Emma. "Until the door is fixed, you're both staying with me," he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Emma hesitated. Pride warred with fear. Lily looked up at her mother with hopeful eyes. "Please, Mommy," she whispered. "I don't want to sleep near the broken door." That settled it. Emma nodded, tears spilling freely now. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you." Daniel's apartment was quiet and warm, the kind of space designed for one person who rarely spent time in it. Lily curled up on his couch under a blanket while Emma sat stiffly at the edge of a chair, hands clasped together, unsure where to put herself. "Do you want some tea?" Daniel asked. Emma managed a small smile. "Yes, that would be nice." As the kettle boiled, the reality of the night began to sink in. Emma spoke haltingly at first, then in broken pieces. The man had been an ex. He'd promised he'd changed. He hadn't. He'd shown up angry, drunk, shouting accusations that didn't make sense. When she told him to leave, he'd kicked the door in. A neighbor had threatened to call the police, and he'd fled before things got worse. I thought I was strong enough, Emma said quietly, staring into her cup. I thought I could protect her. Daniel shook his head. You did protect her, he said. You got her through tonight. That matters. Lily fell asleep holding his spare phone like a talisman. Watching her chest rise and fall, Daniel felt a fierce, unfamiliar protectiveness bloom inside him. He'd built companies from nothing, negotiated deals worth billions, but none of that felt as meaningful as making sure this small girl felt safe enough to sleep. When dawn crept in through the windows, the contractor arrived. The broken door was removed, measurements taken, promises made for a reinforced replacement by evening. Emma stood beside Daniel as they watched, exhaustion etched into every line of her face. I don't know how to thank you, she said. Daniel looked down at Lily, now awake and sipping juice at his kitchen counter, her feet swinging happily. You already did, he said. You trusted me. As they returned to their apartment, now temporarily secured, something unspoken lingered between them. A fragile connection forged in fear and kindness, hovering quietly, waiting to see what daylight would bring. The daylight didn't erase the fear, but it changed its shape. Morning sounds filtered through the apartment, cars passing, distant voices, life continuing as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Emma sat at the small kitchen table, watching Lily color at the counter, her movements slower now, weighed down by the crash after adrenaline. Daniel stayed. He told himself it was just to make sure the contractor finished everything, but even after the door was temporarily reinforced, he didn't leave. Instead, he found himself making breakfast, clumsily flipping pancakes while Lily giggled at his mistakes. You burned them a little, Lily announced seriously. He laughed. That's my secret recipe. Emma smiled for the first time without forcing it. The sound of laughter in her home felt strange, almost foreign, like a memory she hadn't realized she'd lost. She watched Daniel move around the kitchen with an ease that surprised her. He didn't act like a hero. He didn't make grand speeches. He simply stayed. Later, when Lily went to watch cartoons, Emma finally spoke the question that had been building since dawn. Why did you come? She asked softly. You didn't have to. Most people wouldn't. Daniel leaned against the counter, thinking. I grew up in a house where fear lived. Quietly, he said. No shouting. No broken doors. Just silence. And I promised myself I'd never ignore it when I saw it in someone else. Emma absorbed that, nodding slowly. I didn't think anyone noticed us, she admitted. We try to be invisible. I noticed, Daniel said simply. The day unfolded in unexpected ways. Daniel made calls, not just to contractors, but to lawyers who specialized in protective orders, to a security company that could install cameras discreetly. He framed everything as options, never pressure. Emma listened, overwhelmed but grateful. By evening, the new door was installed. Solid, reinforced, with a lock that clicked into place like a promise. Lily tested it, pushing and pulling with exaggerated seriousness. It's strong, she declared. Like a superhero door. Emma laughed, then cried, then laughed again, covering her face with her hands. Daniel stood awkwardly until she looked up, embarrassed. I'm sorry, she said. I'm a mess. You've been holding it together all night, he replied. You're allowed to fall apart a little. That night, when Daniel finally returned to his own apartment, it felt emptier than it ever had. He lay awake, listening for sounds that weren't there, his mind replaying Lily's whisper over and over. Days turned into weeks. The crisis passed, but the connection didn't. They ran into each other in the mornings more often, sometimes intentionally. Lily began knocking on Daniel's door just to show him a drawing or tell him about school. Emma started lingering, conversations stretching longer, laughter coming easier. One evening, months later, they sat together on the balcony while Lily slept inside, the city lights glowing softly below. The past hadn't disappeared, it sat with them, acknowledged but no longer in control. I used to think help always came with strings, Emma said quietly. That if you accepted it, you owed something. Daniel shook his head. Sometimes help is just help. She looked at him then, really looked, and saw not just the CEO next door, but the man who had answered a midnight knock without hesitation. You changed our lives, she said. He smiled, gentle and certain. You changed mine too. Inside, Lily stirred in her sleep, safe behind a door that would not break, in a home no longer ruled by fear. And for the first time, all three of them felt something new settling in its place: hope, steady and unafraid, like a light left on through the night.